What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about SoundHound. I want to go over some of the current data points, break it down on what's really moving it, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. SoundHound is down 3.46%, 1063 the low, 1126 the high, and somewhat low volume, so 32.5 million shares being traded, 3803 is the average. Looking at the secondary market, you are seeing a lot of big transactions, but regrettably, a lot of that is selling. So even first thing, you saw a massive string of selling, which caused this pull lower first thing to that low of 1063. So at the end of the day, you are seeing a lot of signs of manipulation. And I know some people might disagree with me on that, but once I go over the shorts and what they are doing and what they did do, it'll kind of make a little bit more sense. But aside from that, today there hasn't been any news from SoundHound, no SEC filings or anything like that. I feel like the next big catalyst for SoundHound is going to be either this, so July the 23rd, they're going to be doing that online event. So they really hyped this up. Same goes for Wall Street Journal. They kind of brought this up in their article as well. So I think this is going to be a big catalyst for them, or potentially their unannounced earnings. So that should be coming around, I would assume, last week of July, if not early August. So let me know your general thoughts on that. Aside from that though, one thing that just was announced was this. So Trump to unveil a 70 billion investment in AI and also energy. So even though SoundHound won't be the recipient of any of this 70 billion, in my opinion, what this 70 billion will do is really push AI and the tech sectors higher to the next level. SoundHound, in theory, should be able to piggyback off of that, just based on the sector that they are in. So even though they're not going to be the recipient of this, they could still benefit from this crazy investment. So let me know your viewpoint on that. Aside from that though, at the time of doing this video, shorts are returning 74,000 shares, 33.06% of the free floats being shorted, works out to be 119 million shares overall being shorted. So shorts have been returning since the peak of roughly about 35%. So that has really helped SoundHound kind of move higher recently. But over the last couple of trading days, it definitely has lagged, no different than today. But first thing, you see this crazy line, the teal line, they just double down. So at the peak, they were increasing 1 million shares, still not all that much in comparison to what they normally do, but they did increase as soon as the market did open. So in case you do not know, shorts increasing, that means selling. So this is them kind of doing all that they do. So this is all because of shorts. Again, some people might see that as manipulation, some people might not. You do your own due diligence or whatever else. Moving on from here though, looking at the options, 5.55 million in calls, 1.56 in puts. 45% of all the options being done are bearish in nature. So big money is anticipating more downside, clearly based on this, even though SoundHound is kind of recovering fairly well going into the near tail end of the day. Aside from that though, from the bulls, you see a consensus for it to be above that $12 range, and then the bears are anticipating for it to be a sub roughly between 10 and 10.50. So based on all this, a little bit more evenly divided. As of right now though, with at 11.20, it is trading between this R2 and this R1. 10.96 followed by 10.22 is going to be the following support levels, and then 11.41 and 12.14 is going to be the next strong target slash resistance points. So the bulls are anticipating for a breakout above this R3, then bears are kind of anticipating to be on the low end of the pivot or potentially even below that. So ultimately, moral of the story is that there's a lot of anticipated volatility. Aside from all that fun stuff, there hasn't been any new analyst ratings, no articles or anything like that. So right now people are just waiting for the next big catalyst. And like I said, it's either going to be their earnings or that event on the 23rd. Side note, this is kind of what the earnings is. So it is anticipated, hasn't been announced yet, for it to be on August the 7th. Negative 5 cents for the earnings per share, 32.88 million for the revenue, and then over the last 90 days you have seen 0 positive and 5 negative revisions to the earnings per share. So not all that kind of optimistic, a little bit more of a bump up from the previous quarter from the revenue, but still earnings per share revisions have been kind of going lower and lower. Aside from all that though, on the actual chart itself, still above all the key pivotal moving averages that I like to look at, so the 50, 100, 200-day moving averages, but it definitely has lost a lot of momentum. And as I've kind of stated, when this was starting to really move higher, it was getting abnormally high volume. So this is a very good example of a momentum stock, because any momentum stock, you need constant inflow of capital, and as soon as that does kind of get pulled, whether it be because of rotation, negative sentiment, or whatever else, you're going to see this type of price action. So ultimately 1039 is going to be that 200-day moving average, 50-day moving average at 1025. So just kind of watch for those alongside what I mentioned for the fib levels if you're looking at averaging down, starting to do options or whatever else. But generally I still do feel that SoundHound has a lot of good opportunity. The last 4 days, it's not really anything crazy to be panicking about. If it does break below this 1039, then of course we can kind of reconsider that at that stage in the game. But I think just given the circumstances, there's a lot more upside with SoundHound. And for those of you that did buy call options near the bottom, you've made some pretty good money. So I think call options are the way to go as far as a higher return on investment. So potentially if this does get to kind of the high 10s, then I think even myself, I might consider buying some call options, short-term call options, and then benefit from a potential push higher. Because like I said, there's a lot of big things coming out over the next little bit that could really push the broader market to the next leg up. And this 70 billion is another one of those good catalysts that could really push SoundHound higher. So let me know your thoughts on SoundHound. Have you been buying? Have you been selling? Are you losing faith a little bit because of the crazy volatility? Like, what's your general thoughts on all that? Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And then one final thing, if you are looking for some solid buy signals, pop over to my Patreon. I give buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, many of which have been absolutely on point. Definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that, appreciate all of you watching.